Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get pre-orders of all the upcoming Force of Will sets, as well as releases of previous sets after they come out. TCGPrime.com with over 100,000 Force of Will singles, as well as out-of-print boxes from the past, and TCG accessories, as well as FoulLibrary.com, a wonderful resource for deck lists, article discussions, and more. Check them out at FoulLibrary.com, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Raman. Thank you for your support. Class is in session.
Hey rulers, welcome back to Ruler School. Today you're going to be sitting down with me and looking over the most recent Pricia deck that I ran at Locals. This deck was pretty good. It lost in the finals to Violet, which tracks. This deck is not designed to be able to compete with a red ruler like Violet, but in general this was really fun, especially against the new order rulers that were coming out. There's some text in here for us to look at when it comes down to those rulers and their first turn opens and stuff like that. But in general, I was really excited to look at this ruler once again. I actually got this idea from a friend of the channel, Josh Mozart, mostly because he was experimenting with the new Nyarlathotep cards about a month ago, right before Christmas, with this ruler, and I said, wow, it's actually some really good stuff. And as I was going through building my own decks, I said, oh my gosh, some of the support is absolutely nuts for Pricia. So let's just get into this. Of course, we have Pricia, the true Beastmaster, a judgment for red and green, which is a relatively cheap judgment cost. It energizes for any of those colors, but also it has resonance, Fire Magic Stone, and Wind Magic Stone. So if a Fire Magic Stone comes in, you get Swiftness. If a Wind Magic Stone comes in, a target will get Flying on your side of the field. Once you flip it, which I generally don't tend to flip it, for some reason it's not flipping it here for some reason, so just give me a minute as we look at the True Beast. So here is the flip side. When this card enters the field and whenever it attacks, you can choose a resonator or a stone, put it on the bottom of the deck, and get something off of the top of either of your decks. In general, it's probably better to get a stone from the top of your deck than it is a resonator, but there is a Pricia Seeker of Friends set of cards in the deck in case you want to get this stuff off. This effect was used more during the time when it came out in Lapis Cluster to get like Izanagi's off the top of the deck and stuff, but it's kind of meh. In general, you're probably winning the game without even flipping Pricia in general in this version. The God's Art, though, is interesting. If you do attack, you get to recover, and J Resonators you control gain Swiftness and Flying until the end of the turn. And you can only play this effect if a Blasting Waves or a Reincarnation Stone came in that turn, because they're, Wind and Fire Magic Stones together. So in general, you're going to be using this side. This is kind of how I envisioned the deck. If you do flip, it's kind of nice to have, but you're probably already winning the game. So you have your 4 of Sacred Elf. This is a little bit controversial, mostly because there are times in which you are going to want double red on turn 2, and Sacred Elf is a nice play to make, but if you have coin, you might be making a different play line, but in general, Sacred Elf is pretty standard for the deck in general. 4 of Sylvia, Blade of the Supreme King. It has natural swiftness upon entry, but plus it'll get flying from Pricia when you call a stone, and then it can prevent something from blocking. And it targets J Resonators, which I think is relevant in the Order era. Crazy. 3, Guardian Dragon of the Kingdom. This is where Josh Mozart comes in, because I saw this card and I said, oh my gosh, that thing comes in, you get a Blasting Waves or a Reincarnation Memoria, and suddenly this thing is attacking, and it's crazy, and it partners really well with Sacred Elf. So Guardian Dragon of the Kingdom is very solid, and then it ramps you stones, which is really helpful for setting up for your later turns. 4 Pricia Seeker of Friends, which you're usually using for Pricia's big show. It's there in order to grab things like your Isis, your Laurite, things from the middle of the deck, your Guardian Dragon of the Kingdom in case you need to ramp on your opponent's turn, which is where this card really gets interesting. As far as whether or not you play 4 copies, maybe 3 is the way to go, because I did see multiples a little bit too often, so maybe 3 instead of 4, but still, awesome card. It's a Pricia deck and kind of fits into the theme accidentally, so it's really good. Isis, Heat of the Sand. This card is absolutely insane. If you don't know what this card does, it will never get its Revolution in this deck because there is no way to order with Pricia, the true Beastmaster, but it does have Resonance Fire Magic Stone, so you produce red every time it comes in, and then you can banish Magic Stone to draw a card. This card is absolutely insane in this deck because you have Memoria of Reincarnation. So basically, this stone will come in, you'll generate a red off of it, you can tap for whatever color you want, and then with Isis's effect, you can ship it off, draw a card off of Isis's effect, and then you get an effect off of Memoria of Reincarnation as well. We're going to be talking about this card in just a little while, in addition to another card. But this card plus Isis, that's Pot of Greed, and I love Pot of Greed. I don't know what it does, but it's really good. 2 Ultra Dragon Shooting Star. I just wanted something in the deck that could make use of all of the red will being produced, but also had like hard ways to get rid of it. Blue and black right now are pretty good in terms of getting rid of cards, especially against Loki. This card is really strong because they can't target you with Loki's effect, which is really funny. They also can't target you with Volmal's effect or anything of that nature, so this card is actually really fun for that particular reason. And then it has natural flying, just kind of like Guardian Dragon, so this coming in and you're getting a Blasting Waves or Reincarnation or even Fire Magic Stones, which we can talk about this a little bit too. Why I picked Fire Magic Stones over a Wind Magic Stone is for this reason. You want to have swiftness on your flyers as soon as they come into the field. The card's nuts. Love it. Laurite is in here just to protect your combos and make sure that, you know, there's nothing that your opponent can do that's going to screw you up. I think Laurite is an amazing card, especially in the Wanderer format, because you can stop 6 Sage Stone triggers, and that's really strong. It really slows your opponent down, especially if they're an Order Ruler. 4 red, wine, and bread. This card is absolutely insane. In this deck, I think you have to play 4 of it. This thing is the whole win condition of the deck next to Isis. But even Isis wouldn't be as great if this card didn't exist. This card is absolutely crazy. It's the reason you win games. There you go. The other reason you win games is because Magic Stone Dance of Chaos ramps you 3 stones. The fact that it comes in with 3 Magic Stones allows you to bring in Memoria of Reincarnation, and if you kind of like run out of steam, or you're like, I just want to play this card to get a whole bunch of will and then set up for the next turn, play more of a mid-range turn, the fact that you have at least 1 or 2 Memoria of Reincarnation that typically come in means you get to draw 2 cards passively, which means Magic Stone Dance of Chaos replaces itself, generates you a whole bunch of will, and then draws you an extra card on top of that. This card is, in this deck especially, it's kind of nuts. It also triggers Pricia 3 different times more than likely, so you're going to be getting the symbol skills on 3 different resonators. So this card is at 3, mostly because it got a little cloggy at 4, and there's times where you don't always want to dance. But dance is amazing in this deck. 3 felt less cloggy. You might want to run 4 if you're somebody who's like, I just want to see this card, I don't care if it's cloggy or not. But in my case, I was like, I just want to see like 1, maybe 2 of this in a game. And you're going to be drawing so many cards anyway off of Isis and Memoria of Reincarnation that you might even see this more often than not. For Gradius, this might seem a little strange if you're not used to Order Killer, what that deck has been doing on the channel lately. I love Gradius because it stops the first turn Mistletoe by negating its abilities and then burning it for damage. As long as it hasn't put counters on itself, this thing just outright kills it. Kills the first turn Volmal, kills the first turn Hanzo. It does a whole bunch of things against the Order Rulers, which are mostly my metagame right now. It does not kill your Isis if they're playing Nyarlathotep, unfortunately, but it does turn it off, which is nice. It does kill their first turn Scarlet, which is great. And then it's just really good, just removal in general. If they're trying to play something like Hagel, you can deal damage to it to help get it off the board, but you can also like just unlock yourself with Gradius as well. This card just has a lot of utility right now, and I think it's going to have utility going into the future, so 4 of this card is amazing to me. 3 Faerur spell. I wanted cancels in the deck, but I didn't want something super expensive in the early turns like number 13 or Seal of Wind and Light. This card is just solid. It stops things. Especially against Loki, because all of his stuff will gain quick cast with his Enter the Game of God spell. this just shuts off anything they want to do, which is super funny. Last but not least, this is kind of a tech option. This is Last Drop. I like this card in general because it gives you a little bit of extra life, which is hardly relevant in my experience of the deck so far. But what's really good about it is its instant speed resurrection, which we haven't really seen very much of outside of something like Keep the Faith. But even so, this one gets... this recursion spell gets you a 2-drop or less, which means you can get back your Guardian Dragon at instant speed, your Sylvia at instant speed, Isis, even a Laurite. So if they kill your Laurite and you have one in grave, great. Or if you discard it because you have so many cards in your hand, you got to get rid of something. Having a Laurite in grave plus Last Drop is kind of funny to just be able to like instant speed bring something back. It's pretty great. We talked about Memoria of Reincarnation. This card is amazing for this deck in particular. It's really good in Pricia. Just when this card leaves the field, draw a card. This card, like, who knew this was going to be so good? I've kind of commented on how it works with Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, Red Wine and Bread, with Isis. The fact that it triggers Pricia's resonance effects to give your Guardian Dragon some stuff. This card is amazing. Blasting Waves is that, but you know, not super special. You just want this for consistency's sake. You want your Pricia to be double resonance triggering every single chance you get. And then we have 2 Fire Magic Stone. And I commented on how this is basically going to be the reason your Guardian Dragon will have guaranteed swiftness, as well as your Ultra Dragons when they come in and you call a stone. The reason I just found this so much more valuable instead of playing things like a Wind Magic Stone for Mariabella in the main board is because I wanted to go fast and I wanted to see, you know, what kind of utility something like Mariabella would bring if I were to reformat this deck a little bit and go more toward a mid-range. This deck was routinely KOing on turn 3. So I think going into a Mariabella package would have pushed this into a more mid-range grindy style, which admittedly would be kind of interesting. However, for the sake of the channel, I really wanted to show off Red Wine and Bread, Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, Isis. Like, what are these cards actually going to do? And I thought that would actually bring the turn clock back into a turn 2, turn 3 explosion style of aggro deck, which is really what Pricia is. And she was great at it, that's all I can say. The Violet matchup is always going to be terrible because Dark Prominence, Gradius, Aegis, what else to just remove all of your stuff all of the time. The fact that it just has a nuke button in Bahamut, it's just kind of hard to get around. And this deck is just always wanting to go at full speed. So Violet was just a really hard matchup for us to win, and that's why we didn't record it. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this deck profile. We hope you enjoyed the feature match. Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Are there cards that you would change? Are there cards that you would add in? Are there cards you would think about maybe putting in the sideboard? I do have a sideboard in my mind, but I know that this deck is probably not going to go the distance. It was just kind of a fun thing to put together for all you veterans out there. That being said, guys, this has been Paul. Hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Hit subscribe and that bell so you get more videos like this, and I'll catch you next time.